I am sitting here staring at my screen and I honestly don't even know where to begin. My hands are literally shaking as I type this. You guys know, I have been covering General Hospital for years. Years and years of mob shootouts, crazy Cassadine plots, people coming back from the dead, all of the usual soap opera chaos. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for what just went down between Curtis and Portia. I am typing this as fast as I can because I just need to get these thoughts out before my brain explodes. The writers actually did it. They went there. And they didn't just go there, they drove a bulldozer right off a cliff. Curtis Ashford and Portia Robinson are dead. Yes, you read that right. Dead! Both of them, in one single horrifying, chaotic scene that is going to haunt this fandom for the rest of our lives. I am still trying to process the sheer magnitude of this decision. What were they thinking? Who actually believes this is going to end well? I am so tired, so emotionally drained, but I can't look away. Let's rewind a bit, because we all knew this DNA storyline was a ticking time bomb. We knew it. For weeks, we've been watching Portia spiral out of control. She had that affair with Isaiah, which honestly still feels like a fever dream to me, and then she ends up pregnant. And instead of just being honest, because God forbid anyone in Port Charles just tells the truth for once, she lies. She names Curtis as the father. But the rumors started swirling. We all saw Curtis getting suspicious. The guy is a former cop, a private investigator. You can't just pull the wool over his eyes forever. He knew something was off. He even went to Alexis Davis for legal counsel to force a DNA paternity test. Alexis, who is already dealing with so much drama, trying to get that restraining order lifted so Danny can see Scout, actually gave him the advice. She gave him the leverage. And maybe I'm being too harsh on Alexis, but right now I just keep thinking about how her legal advice basically set the stage for a massacre. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. The dominoes were falling, and nobody could stop them. So Curtis actually does it. He gets the real DNA test results. He doesn't wait. He doesn't sit her down in a nice calm environment to talk it out like adults. He marches right into General Hospital, right into Portia's office. The tension in this scene, you guys, it was suffocating. You could feel the air getting sucked out of the room the second he walked through that door holding that envelope. The paper that proved everything she had been saying was a lie. He looked so betrayed, so angry, but also just broken. Curtis has been through so much. The paralysis, the recovery, the mob ties, all of it. And now this. He throws the paper on her desk and demands she admit the truth. He corners her. And Portia, man, Portia just shatters. You could see the exact moment her sanity just snapped. The panic in her eyes wasn't just about being caught. It was about losing everything. Losing Curtis, losing her reputation, and most importantly, losing Trina all over again. And this is where things just go completely off the rails. Completely insane. In her absolute blind panic, Portia opens her desk drawer, and what does she pull out? A gun. A literal gun in her office. At the hospital. Why does she even have a gun in her desk? Is this a new hospital policy I missed? I mean, I know Port Charles is dangerous, but a doctor keeping a loaded weapon next to her prescription pads and highlighters, it's wild. But she pulls it out, and she points it right at her husband's face. Her own husband. The man she claimed to love so much, she falsified medical records to keep him. I was screaming at my TV. What are you doing, Portia? Put it down. It felt so out of character, but then again, is it? She's been lying for months. She lied about Trina's paternity for 2 decades. The woman is terrified of the truth. When cornered, an animal bites. And Portia bit hard. The standoff felt like it lasted for an hour, even though it was probably only a few seconds. Curtis staring down the barrel of a gun held by the woman he married. The dialogue here was just raw. He's yelling at her, asking her if she's really going to shoot him over a lie. And she is just sobbing, hyperventilating, completely unhinged. She's not even forming coherent sentences, just repeating, "I can't lose it all. I can't lose it all" in a row. Like someone thinking out loud and not editing their own thoughts. It was messy. It was ugly. It was real. But then Curtis, being Curtis, decides he's not going to just stand there. He lunges for the gun, which honestly was a terrible idea. You never lunge for a loaded gun when the person holding it is having a psychotic break. But he did, and that's when the absolute worst case scenario happened. The struggle. It was so chaotic. The camera work was shaky. The lighting in that office suddenly felt so dark and claustrophobic. They are grappling over the desk, knocking over files, knocking over that little framed picture of Trina they always show. The symbolism, right? So heavy-handed, but it worked. They are twisting and turning, and Portia won't let go. She just won't let go. And then, bang. The first shot goes off. The sound was deafening. I actually jumped off my couch. I think my neighbors heard me yell. Everything seemed to freeze for a split second. The smoke, the ringing noise they added to the audio track, and then we see it. The bullet hit Curtis right in the forehead, right in the center. There was no dramatic final speech, no gasping for air, no reaching out a bloody hand. He just dropped, dead instantly. Curtis Ashford, a legacy character, a fan favorite, a man who survived being shot in the spine at the Metro Court pool, is dead, killed by friendly fire in a messy domestic dispute over a fake DNA test. I am honestly still in shock. I can't believe they killed him off like this. It feels so abrupt, so brutal. Fans on social media are already losing their minds. The timeline is on fire. People are threatening to boycott the show. And I get it. I really do. It feels like a massive slap in the face to everyone who invested years into his character's journey. But at the same time, it's soap opera history. It's a moment we will never ever forget. But wait, because the trauma doesn't stop there. Oh no. The writers decided to just go for a full Shakespearean tragedy. As Curtis falls, the gun is still in Portia's hand, and as she jerks back in horror at what she just did, her finger is still on the trigger. The gun goes off a second time. Bang. This time, the bullet hits the metal filing cabinet behind the desk, and in a freak 1 in a million twist of physics that I'm not even going to try to fully understand because I am not a ballistics expert, the bullet ricochets. It bounces off the metal and comes flying right back at Portia. It hits her square in the chest, right through the heart. The poetic, sickening irony of it. She lied to protect her heart, her family, and a bullet straight to the heart takes her out. She collapses right next to Curtis. The two of them lying there on the sterile hospital floor, bleeding out. Por ti adiós. Just like that. A double homicide and accidental suicide in the span of 30 seconds. The aftermath scene was just chilling. No music, just the ambient hum of the hospital ventilation system and the slow panning shot of their bodies. The absolute mess the writers have created here is staggering. 2 major characters wiped off the canvas in one episode. The ramifications of this are going to be felt for years. Years. Who is going to clean this up? Literally and figuratively. The hospital is a place of healing, and now it's the site of a gruesome murder-suicide. The irony is just too thick. I need a glass of wine. Or 5. I'm just staring at my screen, typing this, shaking my head because it just feels so surreal. And then we have Isaiah. Poor, stunned, completely blindsided Isaiah. He was the one who found them, or at least he was one of the first on the scene. The look on his face... Give that actor an Emmy right now. He knew Portia was under immense pressure. He knew she was freaking out about the DNA results. He had been trying to be respectful, keeping his distance, not pressuring her, but he never in a million years expected her to lose control like this. To turn into a killer. And the realization hitting him that the woman he had an affair with, the woman carrying his child, is dead on the floor. And the baby? Oh my god, the baby. If Portia was shot in the heart and died instantly, the baby is gone too. It's just layer upon layer of tragedy. Isaiah is going to need so much therapy. We all are. The reaction from the hospital staff is going to be devastating. These are people they worked with every single day. Elizabeth, Dante, Terry, everyone is going to be haunted by this. Imagine walking past that office tomorrow. Imagine trying to save lives in the ER when 2 of your own just died violently upstairs. The morale at General Hospital is gonna hit rock bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a mass exodus of characters just needing to get away from the trauma. Or maybe this will bring everyone closer together. I don't know. I am second-guessing everything right now. Maybe this was a necessary reset for the show. No, that's crazy. You don't reset a show by blowing two main characters' brains out in an office. But the person my heart is breaking for the most is Trina. Oh, Trina. My God. She has been through so much. She lost Spencer. She thought she lost her dad. She found out her whole life was a lie. She finally started mending things with Portia. Their relationship was in such a fragile state of healing. And now she is an orphan. Her mother and her stepfather dead in a violent, scandalous, horrific way. How does a young woman even begin to process that? The guilt, the anger, the profound sorrow. Trina is going to need her entire support system. Jocelyn better step up. Ava better step up. Honestly, I hope the writers give Trina the space to truly grieve and don't just rush her into another romance plot to distract her. She needs to scream. She needs to break things. She needs to be allowed to fall apart. It's so wild because just a few episodes ago, we were all convinced that the big deadly event was going to happen at Jen Sidwell's dinner party over at Windermere. We thought Pascal was going to get offed by Marco Rios, or Britt was going to use that sodium pentothal syringe. We thought Valentin and Carly sneaking around the catacombs was going to lead to a body bag. We were all looking at the wrong hand. The writers pulled a massive misdirection. While we were all watching the Gothic castle drama, the real horror movie was playing out in a brightly lit doctor's office in the middle of the day. It's brilliant, honestly. Twisted and cruel, but brilliant. It totally fits the show's usual style of dropping a bomb when you least expect it, but the sheer finality of it feels different. The funeral. I can't even fathom what that is going to look like. The spoilers say it will be held in an atmosphere of deep mourning, which is the understatement of the century. Will they even bury them together? After what just happened, Curtis's family, Auntie Stella Marshall, they are going to be inconsolable. And they are going to blame Portia. How could they not? She pulled the gun. The tension at that funeral is going to be thicker than a Cassadine plot. Half the town will be mourning Curtis the hero, and the other half will be struggling to reconcile the Portia they knew with the woman who pulled a trigger. It's going to be the most uncomfortable, tear-soaked, bitter event in Port Charles history. I am just so exhausted. I've been staring at this blinking cursor reading over what I just wrote, and it still doesn't feel real. Curtis and Portia. Gone. Just like that. The landscape of General Hospital is forever changed. The DNA secret is out, but at the highest possible cost. I don't know where the writers go from here. How do you transition from this back to normal soap stuff? How do we care about Maxie being mad at Lulu and Nathan when there is actual blood on the floor? How do we care about Jason yelling at Carly about Valentine? It all feels so small now. So trivial. But that's the soap world, right? The world keeps turning even when it feels like it just ended. I'm going to go lie down. I need to process this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you can even type through the tears.